YouTube world. It has been a very hot minute, but I am back, and I'm back for a very good reason. I am, well, relaunching my YouTube channel, but also it's the launch of my, soft launch of my mindset coaching business, and I'm really excited about it because it's been something that I have been mulling over for a really long time, and seeing it sort of start to come to fruition has been really, I guess, exciting and you know, makes me feel good, I suppose. So just a little bit about me. If you have been following me on Instagram or other socials before this now, you would know that I have a background in psychology and in fitness, and I mold those two together to bring out people's absolute best and optimize human performance. So that is my goal, is to make you better, stronger mentally as humans, and that's going to transfer into your training, your health behaviors, your general lifestyle. It has this total trickle-down effect, but it's all about really tapping into what's going on between your ears and optimizing it with really simple psychological strategies and understanding your brain a little bit better to actually get the most out of life, get the most out of your performance, get the most out of your health, get the most out of your general lifestyle by doing these things. So I am sharing this all with you. That is my plan. If you want to get in touch, feel free to jump in. I have my email address at the bottom and my website coming soon, but please hit subscribe, like, whatever, if this is some content that you'd be interested in, if you really want to optimize all of the above that I said. And I'm going to kick off this seminar series with one of my favorite topics, which is anxiety, and anxiety around performance in sport, hitting a deadline, just any high pressure situation. I think it's something that gets a bad rap. A lot of people think, whoa, anxiety, it's got a bad connotation, but it's actually something that is useful and best to utilize in sport and high-end situations. So I'm going to use a lot of like a competition type setting for sport as my prime examples when I talk about this, but seriously, the stuff that you learn from this can be very much applicable to hitting a major deadline at work, your study or academic performance, just high pressure situations in your life. You can actually utilize all of these and make this applicable to your own other aspects of your life. So yeah, let's start. Anxiety, first of all, there's two different types. You've got trait anxiety, which is people that have, that known disorder, well, I shouldn't say disorder, it's an illness, a mental illness where people fear or get anxious, sometimes out of the blue, sometimes by triggers. And then we have what's called state anxiety, which is what the typical person will feel, say if they're leading up to a very important event, very important competition, they'll have a level of anxiety. It's called state anxiety. So it's an amazing thing that the body does. We literally go into fight or flight mode, which is our caveman way of dealing with, running away from a tiger or a lion. But instead it's something that is necessary, and we've evolved, and we do it anytime we feel any kind of physiological symptoms of stress or anxiety. So that can be like perceived or realistic or reality. So the body kind of goes through this state of heightening adrenaline, cortisol in the body, which makes us naturally produce more cortisol, glucose I should say, and that glucose is used as energy, so we're fitter, faster, stronger. Our pupils literally dilate so we can see better. We start to shut down parasympathetic cues like rest and digest, so we don't really need digestion at the time, so we'd rather use that energy into whatever's at hand, the tiger that's approaching that we need to kill off. So yeah, just like in a competition state, going through that fight or flight mode is important, right? We want to have the most optimal bodily functions for us to perform at our best. So Yerkes-Dodson's law, or the inverted U hypothesis, states that there is an optimal amount of arousal and optimal level of performance that comes with that. So we just need just the right amount of arousal for us to perform optimally. When there's too much arousal or too much stress, so there's competing deadlines, we feel like we're not prepared for an event or whatever it might be, it seems out of our control, then the arousal might be too high, which will impede on our performance. So a lot of people would have heard about Yerkes-Dodson's. I'm going to show the diagram here so you can see. And it's something that is being used in sport as a way of understanding how best to utilize their anxiety through sport, through competition, or whatever it might be, to optimize performance. I'm going to go one better and introduce what's called the individual zones of optimal functioning, the eyes-off model. It was originally created by, it was a theory by Hanin in 1997, but it's been very well studied and looked at, and it takes Yerkes-Dodson's to a new level. It basically tells us that people will have optimal zones of functioning, and they don't necessarily have to be just stress related. There are certain emotions that people perform best at. So what I mean by that is there might be two athletes. One athlete will sit in the corner listening to tunes, absolutely oblivious to the things around them, seem a little bit too like, I'm too good for you, yeah? But it's because their optimal individual zone of optimal functioning is one that's calm, collected, without excitement, trying to ease the arousal, the stress or anxiety, so that they can optimize their level of functioning. That is their optimal performance. Whereas you might have athlete 2 who might be really geeing themselves up, they've got like loud cranky music, they've got their coach screaming in their ear, they're getting riled up by the crowd, they might have really different ways of strategizing, so really upping their ante on their excitement, and that is their individual zone of optimal functioning. So they will perform best in that high pressure, high excitement, high energy situation. And knowing these strategies is really going to be helpful for you to understand, where exactly do I fit here? Where is my individual zone of optimal functioning? So that might be one. Another athlete 3, might be one of those really angry people, listen to angry music. I keep using music, there's other examples, but get themselves G'd up. They think about really like angry situations, and they use anger as a tool to drive them. Sometimes you can see that, say, displayed on the tennis court when athletes will throw their rackets or whatever might be. They find anger as a really stimulating zone of optimal functioning. So how do we tap into our eyes-off profiling? Well, it's all about really looking at whenever you've had a high-end situation, a high time that you had a high-pressure situation. We have the CrossFit Open coming up, so if you're into that, this is a great time to start profiling your emotions about what's helpful or unhelpful. So, and they don't necessarily have to be positive or negative emotions, or like happy or sad or whatever it might be. Either one of them can be very helpful. It's really just about finding what works for you. So it's about reflecting and finding at least 4 to 5 different emotions that you're feeling pre, during and post a competition. If you felt that the outcome of that competition or that high-end situation was positive, it was a good outcome, then you can start to tap in and see, okay, well, these were helpful emotions that I was experiencing, and how best do I utilize that in the future? How do I get myself into that emotional state? So I'll use an example. We might have somebody that was running late, was really out of time, was really stressed when they came in before they started a competition. They felt like everything was going wrong. They were really feeling jittery and nervous and a bit annoyed. Their partner really annoyed them beforehand, so they had this built-in anger. But it actually fueled the fire for them to perform really well, and afterwards they felt like a sense of relief, a sense of accomplishment, felt like they got that anger out. So for them, it might be that anger and using that like stressful or really tapping into that anxiety feeling, that pressure situation, the pressure cooker, might be really helpful for that athlete. Might not be so helpful for another athlete. For me in particular, that is not a good way to go. I am definitely one of those people that try and stay really calm, really focused, really in control at the beginning, because I know that I'm naturally designed to want to push further, and I'm very competitive in nature, but it's not necessarily helpful as a zone of optimal functioning for me to stay in that zone. So yes, competition very important to me to perform well, but before I can see that within pre-competition or pre-high-end situation, I try and tap into really states of calm, collectedness. I really start to focus on that. So how do we best tap into that? It's all about finding little ways that you can tap in and channel that energy. So I hope that you found that really interesting, and I feel like as you were leading into the CrossFit Open, for example, if you are doing it, it's really good fun. If you do, shameless plug for CrossFit, I don't know. Anyway, it's worthwhile having a think about what are the best ways or the best outcomes you can get by really utilizing the individual zones of optimal functioning. Let me know what yours are, and it'll be really cool to have that conversation. Like I said, hit like, subscribe if you found this content interesting, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.